So hello there, incredible ladies. I would like to officially welcome everybody to this Thrivherclass. I'm Julia, the creator of Thrivers, and this is really exciting because this is our workshop where we check in with our careers to make sure that our work aligns with our professional goals. Today we are specifically talking about driving home that purpose so that we can make sure that 2019 is our most meaningful year yet. Now, before I introduce our incredible experts, I see that there are a couple of new people here. So welcome. It's so great to see new faces here. And more importantly, women that are taking action to invest in their professional development. That's awesome. Also, I want to say a special hi to our members. I can see who you are, and it truly lights me up to see our tribe growing and have you here in the live session today. And if you're watching in your own time, because this video access is available to everyone who registers, then sit back, relax, enjoy a wine or a tea, and yeah, I hope you join the live session really soon, because the great thing about the live session is that you get to ask the experts your own personal questions. So if you aren't familiar with Thrivers, on our website we have inspiring interviews. So if you want that instant if you want that instant spark to get your ambitions going, then you can head to the website and look at the interviews. And as you're experiencing now, we have Thrivherclasses where we partner with knowledge experts in wellness, wealth and work to deliver these monthly online classes to provide you with practical advice and tools to thrive. Now, I've been told that to get organized, you need some pens and paper. So if you haven't got that, just grab some, because there's going to be some great activities to really embrace this workshop. And also make sure that you've got no other distractions. Really honor this time. This is your time, and really to get the most out of it, just make sure there's nothing else around. So I can see a few regulars here. Hi, would you like to tell us where you're calling from? Now you can either use the chat on the right hand side, or you can use the Q&A prompt, which is at the bottom. It's a little icon. So the chat on the right hand side allows you to talk, and everyone can see that chat. We're super friendly here, so right away there, if you've got any questions that you just want the experts and myself to see, then you've got this great Q&A icon at the bottom, which you can say, and we'll obviously say your questions anonymously. We just want to make sure that you feel like you're in a non-judgmental environment to ask anything you like. So I can see we've got people from London, amazing, hi there. And we've got people from Somerset, that's brilliant, some regulars. We've got some people from Sydney, Melbourne, and I know our experts are from Port Macquarie, so all over. It's really, really cool. It's a great thing about online. Everyone can be accessible. So today we are really privileged to have with us Marianne and Jenna from the Posify Group. Now, the Posify Group's mission is inspiring meaningful lives by connecting people to their purpose, which I think is truly awesome. So welcome, Marianne and Jenna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Julia. Thank you for the opportunity to jump on board your Christmas series. Yeah. And hi, everyone at home. Lovely to see you all out in cyberspace there.
Yeah.
So, where should we
go? Yeah, over to you. Over to you. Do you want me to chat?
Yeah. We were just commending everyone, as you were, on really taking the time to put aside investing in you and reflecting on the year that's been. And that's a really important thing to do before we start setting goals for the year ahead. So what we're going to be looking at tonight is really taking some time to go through some of those things from 2018, because it can be really tempting to, as we get to the end of December and the to-do list is really big, to just push 2018 to the side and go, I've been there, done that, let's move on. But we don't want to do that. We actually want to find, those little gems of wisdom that happens through a year. Yeah. We want to look back and reflect on what the year has been and find those moments that piece together to show us that actually already there's so much meaning in our lives. And what can we do to dig those gems out, bring them out further, and what do we want to take in with us through to the new year? What can we learn from it? And what can we add in terms of our hopes and dreams for 2019? So to make sure all of that is actionable, though, we're going to be sharing a little bit about what we know about goal setting and making goals stick as well. So not just setting them, but how can we actually implement those into our everyday lives, and really making sure that moving on to 2019, we're learning how to spot those moments to implement new actions so that we can live out our most meaningful life yet.
Yeah. So we might launch into a tiny little bit of evidence, because as we shared before, we're all about unpacking the evidence and the science behind what makes for a meaningful life. So before we dive into those steps that I know we had them up on the screen just earlier, we're going to be unpacking our goals. But I want to share with you a little bit about the benefits of purpose. And I was just saying before that one of the fun facts I learned this week is that people who are driving purpose in their careers, and particularly organizations, are demonstrating that their benefits in productivity are outweighing their non-purpose competitors by 6 to 1.
Yeah.
That's huge in terms of a competitive marketplace. And I think, I was reading someone else's opinion on the idea that we've gone into this automated space in our careers, and that really we can Google anything, and that what is coming down to difference is the power of storytelling. And if you can really, through your career, start to connect to that authentic story that reflects your unique set of skills, strengths, and values, which we're going to talk about tonight, and share that in a way that's very impactful and demonstrates your love and care for the people and the planet, and not just profit, you're going to be driving some career goals. So
there's human elements.
Yes, absolutely. Connectedness.
Absolutely.
Connectedness.
Yeah.
So purpose, what we know about people who pursue purpose, and particularly in their careers, is that they show greater increases in productivity and engagement and life satisfaction. They open up their curiosity and connectivity, as we were saying before. And it's not just about productivity either. So people who live meaningful and purpose-driven lives and do so with intention, the best examples are our super centenarians. So if you think about people who have lived to over 100, we're talking about people who are like, wow, how can we learn from you? And what they find is that their biological capacity, a large part of it when we control for other factors, is actually driven by purpose and meaning. And when we look at our biological and our physical changes, purpose and meaning prevents things like stroke and heart disease, even when controlling for other factors. And it can help to slow cognitive decline that can lead to diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia as well. So, am I selling it?
Well, what I love, and you absolutely are, because it makes it something that's intangible that we kind of already know, but it brings it into real facts and figures.
Absolutely.
And yes, I definitely think the facts and figures, for me, being a sciencey person, helps sell it.
Yeah.
I just want to ask our audience, do people feel like they do have a sense of purpose in their work they do and meaning? It'd be really interesting to see. Or are people trying to get more of that, like next year, and seeing if even if it's in their job currently, where they can find that, or maybe they're looking for something different where they can really connect with that purpose, and understanding what we're going to learn tonight, how we can connect with that. So do people feel that they do carry out their purpose every day at work, or are they looking for that? I mean, just put a simple yes or a no, or
typing that into the chat. Maybe I could give you a couple of prompts as well, or primers. So I'd love to hear responses from our audience on that. And bear in mind that when we talk about the science or the theory that sits behind what makes for a meaningful life, we're really talking about 3 different aspects. So our attendees might want to think about these 3 aspects. So the first is significance. So those things that really matter to us at a heart level. So we're talking about our values and the things that really light us up at our inner core. People often talk about their spirituality, or their sense of connectedness to the other, or things that they feel emit a sense of awe in the world, their relationships to your heart
sings. You feel those moments.
It's at a core level. The other bit is coherence. So it's about the stories that we tell ourselves and how we look for patterns in the world. And I think that's a really important part about meaning too, that we've got a direct impact on, because we can really start to reshape some of those stories so that they work to align with those values, those things that are significant with us. And then thirdly, we've got that purpose component. So that's the doing aspect. That's the how do I pull in an overarching goal that's not just meaningful to myself, but to the people around me. So again, Martella and Steger's meaning framework is what we're drawing on, and it's significance, coherence, and purpose. What I feel, what I think, and then what I do. So I hope that helped in terms of getting some responses. Did anybody kick in? Who's looking for a meaningful life next year?
I can tell you from a personal point of view, when I was in my last job and not feeling it at all, and then when I changed to doing something I really felt purposeful, I noticed that I'd be out in social situations and end up talking about what I was doing with really great passion. And actually before, people would say they'd want to talk about, how does it work? And I was actually, I don't want to talk about my day because I just want to forget about it and enjoy my weekend and have it for me. But now that naturally comes in, so I can really feel that I'm living that purpose. So that's something I didn't actively realize until I was talking and feeling really lit up about what I do every day. So
and what I love about meaning and purpose too, and something that I'm really passionate about, I'm working with young people too, because the pressure, and it's for everyone, but because I spent a lot of time with teenagers as a teacher, that pressure to find the perfect job that 100% sits in that pocket of purpose is so high. So what we love about the work that we do is actually helping to find those magic moments of meaning in the work that we do. And it's amazing how many different jobs that you can have that can still connect to that core sense of purpose. So it doesn't mean, connecting with your meaning doesn't mean having to throw it all in and go out and find that perfect job. And if you're on track to starting up a new business or moving into a new career, fantastic. But we want to reassure you that this stuff works for anyone. Wherever you're at, you can search within the work that you're doing and within the lives that you have to find those moments where your heart does sing and you have that excitement and that passion in your voice when you share the work.
Well, we've got a question. So someone said, although I enjoy teaching and it gives me another teacher, it gives me a sense of purpose. I feel I want to be able to give help children more with regards to mental health.
And you found the girls to help you. We love hearing that. So certainly we can help you with that, but it really sounds like obviously you're getting deeper into why it is that you're driven to teach, and there are so many different ways that we can make impact as teachers. And I think we were talking the other day about those jobs that spring to mind automatically that are service driven, and therefore most people kind of think, well, that's a meaningful role without really even having to dig too deep. But within that, it's really great to figure out what makes you tick. Why did you sign up to be a teacher in the first place? So it's fantastic that you've connected with a need, and that it's making you want to drive to pursue further education or further training so that you can continue your passion in your role.
Yeah, so make sure to jump onto our resource bank at the Posify group at the website. We can talk to that a little bit later, and certainly feel free to send either Julia a direct message or us email directly. We've got stacks of resources around mental health for teens. So the great thing about the work that we do is talking about preventative mental health. So rather than waiting until people are experiencing mental illness, we're trying to jump in early and teach the kids these practical evidence-based strategies and skills so they can really understand what's happening in underneath them and build up what we call preventative mental health strategies. It's almost like an entire other webinar, so we might have to park it there if that's okay, but definitely get in touch, because mental health, we all are accepting that this is a huge conversation that needs to happen, because if somebody's not feeling at their best, then we just can't expect them to learn and be at their best either. So making sure that we're upskilling ourselves as the adults in our children's lives is really important for anybody who's engaged with kids.
And just to comment on that note too, the idea of parents being really busy and children feeling out of touch, and quite often there's a lot of pressure on teachers to find the right resources and the right strategies, and that's why we do what we do, because there is so much information out there and it's quite overwhelming at times. So please do get in contact with us and check out what we've got on our website, through our social media, because we love learning this stuff. We get, I get into my flow when I learn this stuff. So if we can help pull it in for you so that you can have a go-to for the strategies that are evidence-based that we know work.
And you can use the ones tonight too. So let's dive in. If you're ready to.
Yeah.
And maybe if you could pull up that slide, Julia, for slide 1.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with the first step of our goal setting.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll take it on. This one's a pretty good one because we get to look at the good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. So the first thing to do, grab a pen and paper, and I want you to spend a few moments to just write down, to start with, 3 good things that you can think of that happened in 2018.
And specifically around your career, but it can be anything, but we're talking about work tonight.
Oh, yes, but anything across your work. So it doesn't have to be the most meaningful moment you've had in 2018. Just want you to think about 3 good things that happened through your work.
And do you have any tips for people who might be struggling a little bit with that negativity bias, which can kick in and say, I had nothing that went well this year?
Yes, and look, that does happen because our wonderful negativity bias is there to keep us safe, but it's designed for saber-toothed tigers trying to eat our heads off, not for trying to spot good stuff.
Not for spotting good stuff.
So yes, a great tip that you can use if you're feeling a little bit stuck in finding some of that good stuff is actually go back to some facts. So grab your calendar that you might have written things in, meeting notes. You might have written up a PowerPoint presentation that you delivered. Find some things where you can actually physically spot those moments and reconnect with the story that happens there, and that way you can reveal some of the good stuff that you're not having to rely on your memory for.
And I love that. It's such a practical, hardcore way to be looking back and reflecting on your year. Most of us keep everything in our calendar online these days, and being able to pull out those moments and go, oh yeah, there was that phone call where things really, we made a difference that day, or there was that time that I flew down to Melbourne to meet with these people and I never thought that was going to happen. Julie, I know earlier you were sharing a really joyous moment that happened for you yesterday. These mini moments of meaning happen to us on a daily basis. So like you said, we don't have to go large.
Yeah.
So we
don't have to rely on our memory.
We don't
for it either. So use the tools that you've got around.
And if anyone wants to share one of their 3, if it comes up, please share. I'd be interested to see what great things people have come up.
Absolutely. And as we move through these steps too, you've taken the time to join us live, so make sure you sing up with questions, or if you'd like to clarify anything in the steps, because I appreciate we are moving quickly. Yes, we are zesty kind of people, but we've also wanted to carry lots of content. So yeah, if you've got questions along the way, please sing out. Okay, hopefully you've got just a couple of moments at least that are written down in terms of some magic moments of meaning, things that really you're proud of. That's another way of looking at it. Now I want you to have a look at some of those options or examples and circle the ones that really sung to your heart. So which were the ones where you felt like you just lit up? The ones that really touch to those emotional aspects that you were really... it doesn't have to be a positive emotion either. It can be something where you've just touched. Again, it comes back to that connection. A connection with the things that are significant. Now, the reason I'm asking you to do that is that those emotional memories that we store, they can hold the secrets to what drives your personal purpose. And a lot of us go around thinking that purpose is this thing that we can discover. Like someone's just going to turn up one day and say, hello, here's your purpose. I've delivered it to your front door. And actually, all of us have a unique set of skills, strengths, and values that combine to make up that unique purpose profile. And the only way we can uncover that is to get a little bit insightful and draw in some self-awareness strategies to start circling some of those themes that pop up. And that's when we're using that coherence aspect of meaning.
When you're talking about, this next part is, did you say 3 emotions to tap into?
That's step 2. Sorry, I should have told you to click the slides, Julia.
Just wanted to check. I'm not being very good.
Well,
isn't it important at this stage where they say, being able to tap into your gut feeling and that intuition, which sometimes I feel like when you're so busy doing something, that's when it's even more important to be able to give yourself time and space to tap into how you're really feeling, because you can actually cloud it so much that you really confuse and don't know. Like you can be in a situation where you think, should I leave the job? Shouldn't I? All these things are really good, but actually I'm feeling stressed a lot of the time. And some people could be paying a mortgage and that kind of outweighs but am I really happy? And I think I just want to say sometimes it's hard to tap into those emotions.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that often we're so busy at keeping on that wheel that we forget to celebrate the small wins. But I do just want to acknowledge someone in our chat who said they're really proud of a video they did with their CEO and that they wouldn't have dreamt of doing it last year. Can I challenge you a little bit further, since you've been so brave to share? And I think that is just so exciting. I want to know what part of that made you proud. So what part of that process excited you? What story did it tell you about yourself that you want to lean further into? Maybe it was that you demonstrated to yourself that you had capacity beyond what you believed. Maybe it was that you overcame a fear and you were really proud of yourself standing there shaking your boots, like I know a lot of people are when it comes to public speaking. Maybe it was your first time in front of a video and you're just proud for giving something new. Or maybe you overcame a barrier around a hierarchy of where you expected yourself to be and where your CEO was. By diving into those bigger questions of reflection and meaning and understanding the story that's shaping your why or your purpose that drove that celebration and accomplishment, that's the magic that we're talking about. So I hope that was helpful, and thank you for being so brave and bold to share. And congratulations. I think that deserves a party cracker.
I'm so excited.
Where's my party cracker? I told you I was going to surprise you tonight.
Channeling my childhood awesomeness. I'm a big Christmas person.
I wish we had one for you too.
I know. Where's mine?
Hold it up, but I'm grabbing your side for you.
Ready? 1, 2.
Oh, it's going to go back.
Oh, yes!
I won.
I feel like you girls have done that many times before.
Well, I guess
every
years we
Christmas.
do Christmas. Yeah. Okay, true. We have. Yeah.
And,
Never on a webinar. This is a first.
I can't not, right?
Very
I
Christmassy.
love it.
While people are just circling
about
what's
their
meaningful.
So
We've had
someone else that's come through. So I introduced a new math scheme, which was so much more accessible to all the children. This has been so exciting and rewarding. Change can be scary, but seeing the benefits has made me more likely to have a go again.
Amazing. And what I like there too is it's really connecting with that idea of purpose, where it energizes us, but we're also taking a moment to think about what our impact is, what are we doing for other people as well. But sometimes, especially in service-driven roles, we can focus so much on what does it do for them, because that's our job. So it's important to still have that inward reflection. How has that made me feel, and the connection with my own emotions too.
Yeah, and I love that connection there with it being exciting and rewarding, and doing something new is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the science that's starting to point to that there's actually not a lot of difference between what we take as being really nerve-wracking and exciting, and that actually there's a lot of going on, and that it's our interpretation of what's going on physiologically. Because if you think about it, the symptoms are a lot the same. So when you're excited, your heart races a bit, maybe you get a little sweaty palms. I guess
try now.
Yes.
Can I just say that exactly thing happened to me this year, and I did share it on LinkedIn this week, because public speaking was my worst fear, and I went to Toastmasters just to deal with it better, and at the end of the year I realized I enjoy it and I get a buzz from it, and I'd never ever thought that I would say that. But like you're saying, I still feel nervous about speaking, but I get a buzz from it. So I'm really interested that science has come out as that, and recognizing that.
And actually naming it too when you're feeling those symptoms. I did a taekwondo grading the other night, and I tend to get a little bit nervous about it, and I stopped and I thought, actually, I'm really super excited about this. I've been training really hard. And so all of these symptoms that I've got right now, a little bit of shaky palms and sweaty palms and dry mouth, is part of my excitement, as well as a little bit of nerves, and celebrating that. I went out there, a big smile on my face.
See,
so it makes a
shows
difference.
that the story that we share with ourselves is really powerful.
Yeah.
So thank you again. I wish we had another crack.
I know.
You need a hat.
I'm quite happy with my hat.
I'm not sure if I can take you seriously with your hat right now. Okay, let's move on to step 3.
Yes.
This is a big one. A little confronting.
It can be, but if we do it from a sense of wanting to improve, wanting to move forward, we're remembering that inner critic that is already in our brains, that we know that we can actually talk to and train a little bit and calm down and look at objectively. So step 3, we're going to look at what might I do differently next time. We talked about reflection just before. Reflection is such a valuable part of the process. And remembering, we work on design thinking. So if you haven't come across that, unfortunately, we don't have a huge amount of time tonight to unpack it. But we do jump back and forth and around these different things. So if you're kind of thinking, oh, I want to go backwards and think about something that I didn't circle, it's okay, you've got time to unpack this. Go back to these things. So for now, try and hold judgment off and just go with what comes into your mind. So thinking about the moments that you've circled, the moments that you've picked out as memorable perhaps, or maybe one that you didn't circle, having a think about, if you were to do that again, what might you do differently? With the little bit of distance that you've had from it, again, if we were to jump in right there and then and consider something that we might do differently on the spot, we might find that a little bit nerve-wracking. But if it was a little while ago, that distance really helps us feel a little bit more comfortable to unpack how we worked, use a little bit of self-compassion, think about what it was that we were wanting to achieve, and how could we add to that, how could we shape it differently, how could we do it again, but with a bit of a different twist.
Yeah. And the other thing to think about is who in your tribe can you bring in to give you some mentorship and advice. So don't forget, a lot of this purpose work and meaning work, and I just realised how loud the crickets are here in Australia. Can you guys
hear crickets? Wow.
Can you hear them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hey. So we're
quite a warm night. So
we've
got the windows open and the crickets singing, and to me that just screams summer and
right?
Christmas.
It was just a little.
And watching the crickets.
Went to the mindful moment with the crickets. So going back to that idea of bringing your tribe in, so really connecting with people that you trust, knowing who's in your inner circle that you can share your mistake with and share your reflections and get some feedback on their ideas on what they observed about that moment at the time, because you probably find that you created your own story around what went wrong and why, and helping to get other people's perspectives and opinions can help to shape that really useful story so that you can learn from it and gain, like you said, that objectivity to move forward. Okay.
And those
Hopefully everyone's
mistakes
got
become
someone.
our friends too. So we can look at them and
Oh, we've had a few crap mistakes this year.
but how much
We
we
have
learned
learned a
developed
lot.
from them. It's
Absolutely.
really exciting. So
It is.
I've embraced failure. I quite happily put my hands up and go, that was terrible.
And the
Well,
thing
actually,
is-
that was really good, but I still would have done something like
differently.
this.
Yes. The thing is, with 21st century careers as well, like we said, everything's getting automated.
Yeah.
No employer, and if you're in small business, I can tell you now, if you're not looking down a pathway of innovation, you'll be dead tomorrow, because constantly got to be thinking around what's next, how can I be creative, how can I disrupt things and still invigorate some positive change, how can I make my mark in the world and share my story, and doing that takes a little bit of risk, so you're bound to
I heard someone say the other day that they were being successful through constant failures. And what it means is just that to do something, if you just accept that when you do something for the first time, you might do it wrong, but then you'll definitely do it right the second time or even the first time, and then you'll achieve it. So actually, if you just accept that if you want to get somewhere, actually failure is just part of the journey, then maybe it's not so, you're not going to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And what makes the difference is, sorry to interrupt you, is what we call mindset in the world of psychology. So you may or may not have heard the difference, this is Carol Dweck's word, between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So the person with a fixed mindset views their failures as being, absolute, the end, never going to do that one again, and going to write that experience off, and I'm done.
And also that their successes are the cap.
Yeah, that's
This is
true.
as good as I am, and full stop.
And that's full stop. Whereas someone with a growth mindset actually looks at their failure as an opportunity to learn, because they have that mindset that they're able to grow across their different traits. So the main number of studies have been across intelligence mindset, and that idea of what's my view or my mindset around my capacity to be able to grow and to learn. And so I think that's really applicable when we're thinking about.
Yeah, I think it's really important to embrace that mindset.
Reshape our failures. Okay, step 4.
Okay.
Ooh, this is
So
a big one too.
This is a big one, but it's a really powerful part of the process. Write a new story. So what we want to do is we want to wrap up those old stories that aren't working for us anymore and say, get rid of them.
How do you identify the old stories?
We spend way too much time together that we just did the same thing. Totally, on the spot.
Yeah.
How do you identify what stories you should do? You need to think about what things you've been telling yourself, or
those things that you in step 3 that you identified that you might do differently, and within that process you're going to uncover those moments that perhaps you don't want to repeat again, but also the stories that you're telling yourself about those moments. If we want to move forward, if we want to change the way that we write our story, or if we want to make positive change into our future, we need to go, as Marianne was talking, mindset, thinking about things differently, and writing a new story of the possibilities that could be, taking the learning that we've made from the reflection that we've
so this again is tapping into that coherence aspect of meaning as well. And I think it also applies to our goals, because how many of us carry into the next year goals that were left over from the year before and the year before and the year before that didn't work? Yeah. Well, now's the point in time where you get to make a conscious choice as to whether or not those stories about who you're wanting to become actually serve you. Because there's in psychology where we talk about cognitive dissonance. And it's the idea that people experience a lot of distress when their values and their actions aren't lining up. So if you've got a story around your values being X, Y, and Z, but your actions aren't matching that, then you're going to feel really stressed and naturally being a little bit down on yourself. Whereas taking the time to stop and think, okay, 1, do I actually really want to move in this line? And if I do, I need to set some goals that helps me get there, or bring in some more people, or bring in some resources or information and prioritize it this year. Or let go. Maybe you're not in a season of your life where you can make that goal attainable. Maybe it's something that you'll do later on. Maybe it's something that you'll never do. Find a different way to serve your value in a way that's, we talk about goal setting. Hopefully everyone's checked out the blog, but one of the evidence-based ways we do our goal setting is using that acronym of SMART. So make sure it's specific, measurable, attainable and realistic, and that it's attached to a time.
And as we put in the blog, that we come back to that why too, because if we're deciding the stories that we need to reframe or potentially let go of, sometimes we're holding on to those stories and we don't actually even know why. We don't know why we're reinventing the wheel on those goals. It's just a goal that everybody sets at New Year's time, so we should set it too. But we've actually detached from the purpose behind it. So that's why we're really passionate about digging down into that deeper why, because if that's no longer there, then what are we stressing ourselves trying to reach that goal?
And some of this work you can absolutely do on your own. And so hopefully some of these activities that we're walking you through tonight, you can start to grab some little glimpses of an idea. And don't forget, there's no right or wrong. So self-awareness and insight is all about just getting in touch, starting to put some words and thoughts to those feelings that are going on inside. And then in order to amplify some of those things, we know that, you know, words really complete thoughts, and doing that with someone where you feel like there is no judgment, you can really freely explore new preferred ways of being, can be really beneficial. So things like coaching can come into play, or if you've got someone in your life who acts as a mentor, having some conversations with them about how you might want to reshift and shape your stories and ditch those old ones that just aren't serving you, can be really, really useful. So make that a new year goal as well.
And learning to accept that it's okay to let go of those.
Yeah.
So that moment of going, you know, that was the past, and it's okay that I might have had this way of viewing my future, but that I've changed my mind. And
Or
I
that the
can accept
situation
that.
has
Or that
changed.
learning what's outside of our control and what's inside of our control. I think, to be honest, out of every intervention we've come across and that we implement in our work, personally, that is the number one intervention that I go to when I'm sort of at a crossroads where I'm really struggling to write that new story, is to stop and understand what it is that I can't change and be okay with that. And then look at what it is that's within my power and what I can do something about, and put some actions in place. Absolutely.
When we ask people, does that happen to other people? Have people written goals every year and just see some similar patterns that some are just not getting achieved? And because I'm definitely going to look at my goals list, because that's what happens to me every year. Literally half of them are done, half of them aren't. They get shifted over. But I guess the other side of it is being really honest. Now I'm going to be very honest here. And I already said recently that learning French has been on my to-do list for probably 5 years now. And I am going to embrace it this year, but kind of the lazy part of me, just because I find that so challenging, could easily say, oh, I haven't done that, so maybe just get rid of it. Nico might not be
I have to remind you, you shared with us the other night on that Facebook Live a really important aspect that could mean this is the year that you actually do meet that goal. Do you remember what it was? There's something different that's happening for you.
What?
Where are you going?
No? What?
Oh, she's forgotten.
Who are you going to go?
Why this year are you wanting to learn French, specifically this year?
Who are you going to go visit?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes. I'm glad you reminded me. I was going to find out. Yes, because I'm going to, hopefully the end of next year, meeting Nico's grandma. Well, I've met her before, and she's just an incredible woman, so I really want to have a conversation with her. Yes, so that's my why.
And that's digging down deeper rather than just setting a goal that we think or know is good for us. We need to understand why it's good for us. Drawing another quick personal example after a little bit of inspiration, I go back to that Taekwondo idea. I don't know how many years my New Year's resolution has been, I'm going to sign up to the gym and I'm going to go 3 times a week and I'm going to get fit. Full stop. And then I get to February and I might have done it for a month and I lose motivation because I don't really connect with
how many people can relate to that one.
But now I've absolutely fallen in love with my training. I do Taekwondo and I've got belts that I'm moving up towards, and to go to Taekwondo I need to get fit. How can I go and get fit? I can start getting out and chucking those joggers on and heading to the gym. So I've got purpose behind it. I'm intrinsically motivated to go and do those things that I already know are good for me, but I know why they're good for me and why it's meaningful for me now to do.
So does anyone want to share their goal, like a really hard goal that they also have a why for? That'd be really, if anyone, we can just carry on, but if anyone wants to share a goal for next year just to hold them accountable, then please throw them in the Q&A or the chat.
Accountability coaches, I love it. Since we're speaking about the webinar the live that we did the other night, there's something else you said, Julia, that made me reflect. So we talked a little bit about those moonshot goals or those big audacious goals. And in psychology, we talk about them as being the main, primary or overarching hierarchy goals. But then underneath all of those, you've got secondary ones that support them. So, for example, we like to use the metaphor of a tree. So if your big purpose or your big goal, the thing that you want to change and shift, is a big tree, think about a tree and how many different parts it's got.
You've got the trunk, you've got the leaves, you've got the branches, The roots.
The roots.
Sorry.
Yes.
Let's get there. We've got the
We're
roots.
past kindy. Yes, the roots. Let's start there. That's your why. So if we can share one of our goals for next year, Posify is keen to go global. We're very excited. And if we look at the roots of that tree, it's because underneath it, our big driving why is because we want everybody to be able to have access to the evidence-based resources, tips and tricks that we share, so that they can live their most meaningful lives. So that nourishes our tree and it really feeds into that trunk. Now, if we're going to go global, then let's think practically. We probably want to go online because, getting there in a plane, if anyone wants to take us, awesome. But otherwise, how amazing is this medium? So that's going to be our trunk. And then off that trunk, we've got all the branches. So we might want to consider different ways that we use, for example, one branch might be goals around social media. One branch might be goals around different marketing. One branch might be around, we need to do some research around different cultural norms around how we apply the science and who's working in what space everywhere, making bigger connections. Now, off each one of those branches, we've then got different leaves. So let's say we think about, okay, we've got to change our sales strategy to meet this big overarching goal. That's a branch. Okay, well, who's going to be in charge of setting up a contacts list? Who's going to be in charge of the new strategy? Who do we need to reach out to have a greater understanding? Each of those little micro goals are things that we can do in a really short time frame. So there are short-term goals or our supplementary secondary goals that feed into that bigger overarching goal. Does that make sense? Is that useful for you?
So we've got someone who said maybe you can help. So an unachievable goal is to have more time off, which has been unattainable because of lack of staff.
Oh, yeah. So that's what we call sometimes an anchor problem or a gravity problem. Sometimes, just like gravity doesn't change, your situation isn't going to change either.
That's what we're talking about, that out of control.
In control. Yeah. So when it comes to your goal setting, make sure what you're doing is really specific and it's attainable as well. So have a look at what you've got in terms of that stuff. Is that something that's in your control? Can you have a conversation with whoever your manager is? If it's your own business, are there some different systems and strategies that you can pull into place to help support that goal of having more time off? And if you can't, how can you build into your day some mini moments of self-care and self-reflection and making sure that you have those breaks, making sure you make time for that exercise so that you're getting your mini parts of the day off within the day rather than relying on that day off that we would ideally love to have.
And even breaking it down further too, we're talking about those leaves. So even you mentioned an idea, is there somebody that you can speak to in terms of the timetabling? That in itself can seem really daunting, but if you break that down even further, there are bits and pieces that you can start to action to make some change there. So identifying why might that seem daunting? Perhaps it's a case of you're a little bit nervous about having that conversation. So maybe a goal is looking at assertive communication. How can you have those conversations with whoever it is? So there's always a way of bringing it down to the tiniest little moment, those micro changes that you can make. And every time you make one of those micro changes, you're channeling that sense of achievement, and you're building that sense of self-worth and self-development. And every time you go, whoo, that's a win, you're driven, you're more intrinsically motivated to go and seek out further wins, and suddenly you're able to do more than you were before.
Yeah, and that's why all these well-being strategies that we teach, we just think they're so valuable, because with each problem that we come across, when we're looking for solutions, we want to be able to implement practical strategies. And the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know these skills and strategies until you've invested in yourself, invested in the resources that are available. So whether it is you're doing your own research online, or whether you're dipping into some books or joining courses, signing up for coaching, it's really dipping into the science that can be really useful.
And playing with it too, because there are so many interventions out there that if one's really not working for you, the great news is that there's probably another one out there that will.
Absolutely.
So working with a coach or working with the people who, get their nerd on, as I like to say, who try and test these things, so that you're not having to feel overwhelmed about all the different
there's a conversation that's come up a few times, so I'm really hoping I'm going to cover a workshop on it next year, which is time management and setting boundaries, which I think can really help towards this, because sometimes, especially I know, in work situations, those boundaries aren't there, and then people feel like you're the go-to, that they can walk all over and be their person, and once you're that person, it's really hard to then come back, because then you feel guilty. So it's all those things playing in your mind, but it's really just building that confidence that your time is so precious, because then you can be so much of a better person when you make wellness your priority, even if it is, like you're saying, first thing in the morning is the best time, because the day just gets eaten up. But if you know every day, even when it goes crazy, you've had your time in the morning, that can help a lot.
Absolutely. And you've already identified, Julia, the idea of connecting with the value behind why you're wanting to make that change stick. The value for you is to prioritize your well-being. So that's going to drive you to have that really sticky conversation around boundaries, even though it can feel a little uncomfortable. And then the goal that you set with that value underneath is, how do I learn those skills in assertive communication to be able to have that tricky conversation? And what do my boundaries look like? So can you see how it all kind of comes back to those things that are really meaningful and that drive our own unique set of values?
And that leads directly into the next point too, because it's all very well and good to say all of this, but especially if we're feeling like we're time poor, or that we've had those goals that keep rolling into next year and we're feeling like we're not getting anywhere, we're banging our head up against the wall. How do we actually make this attainable? How do we make it stick? How can we incorporate it into an already busy life? And we hear it all the time, I just can't add any more into my life. It's too hectic. So no more goals for me. It's too hard. So we turn to the wonderful, awesome BJ Fogg, and I get really excited about this because Marianne introduced me to BJ Fogg, and I got the opportunity to actually try it out in my own life before we went and started incorporating it into our workshops. So BJ Fogg has an intervention for goal setting and making goals stick called Tiny Habits. And it's quite clever because it's actually kind of creeping around the bits of our brain that get in the way and say to us, oh, this isn't going to work. So I'm going to talk you quickly through the process of it. The first thing that you want to do is to find a cue of something that you're actually already doing in your daily life that you don't even think about.
So let's give an example. Yeah, I'm just thinking to make this extra tangible.
Yeah.
I do have an extra goal that I'm thinking I want to share with you. I'm so excited.
Do I know it?
No. Reveal. Oh, this is going to be like, we've got another reveal tonight. This reveal one. One of my goals.
Can I just check as your little admin person? Do we need to be on another slide, or can I close the slide?
Hang on. Or
Good
maybe.
point. I don't think we have a next slide for this bit.
Do we have a next slide?
Give it a go.
Let's try.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at that.
So the goal that I'm really hoping to work towards is I would love to write a book. And now that my master's is out of the way and I've written my dissertation, I'm really keen to write a book.
I'm really excited about that because I've been wanting you to do that for ages.
I have that. But that's a really big, overwhelming goal when I think about it. So you've got any ideas for that?
Yes. Well, the first thing to do is, as we were talking about that tree,
so finding a cue.
We don't want to jump into trying to write the book, so we're going to break that down a little bit. I'm going to talk you how to do that. So finding a cue, something that you're doing in your everyday life that you do without even thinking about it. So an everyday habit.
Okay, so for example, I always make a coffee in the morning and boil my kettle.
Yeah, and when I stay over and wake up in the morning, I see you go straight to that too. So it's definitely, you're in autopilot. Yeah, you don't have to think about that. So then we want to start to attach a new little change to that. So next time you are getting ready to go to bed, you need to go and get a pen and a notepad and pop it next to your coffee. Yeah. Whatever it is, get something that's small, that's quick, that's attainable, because you're going to build on it. So wherever you start small. Yeah, 3 words, 3 sentences, whatever you know is achievable in that moment. It takes, 30 seconds to make a coffee, whatever you can do in 30 seconds.
Yeah, in 2 minutes.
And then we need to give ourselves a little reward.
I like a reward.
We love a reward. So we've done a job. Pat on your back. Coffee. Personally, the coffee would be my reward. You might be a bit more of a, self-love kind of person. You might even just tapping yourself on the back. Maybe you take that coffee and you spend the minute drinking the coffee, might be with a magazine or whatever it might be, a short little reward that you can easily fit into a day. So we've got the cue. Yeah. So the cue, that everyday habit, then we're attaching the new change to that and we're rewarding ourselves for doing it. As we start to do that, our brain starts to learn, actually, this could be okay. It's not as nerve-wracking to incorporate that new change. So we can start to build on it once we're comfortable with it. And you might go from writing 3 words to next week writing 3 sentences, to the week after finding that you've looked at your timetable, because once we start getting that sense of achievement, we can start feeling a little bit more open to bigger changes. We can start finding more time. And by June, you're going to be published.
Oh, stop it. Can you imagine? That would be amazing. It might take me a little bit longer. I'm going to be realistic about my goal.
That's right. Timely and realistic.
But I think that you raise a really good point, is because a lot of people think they just don't have time for this stuff. And actually, when we connect to the things that are really, drive our values and our significance and things that matter the most, we start doing those things, putting them into action. you'll be surprised to see what else can be moved out of your day.
Actually start saving some time.
Yeah.
You're finding time because you're not using up time in unproductive ways.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So I reckon we've gotten a pretty long way through a lot of content. We hope we haven't overwhelmed you and that actually you've got some practical strategies that you can go off and apply. Please feel free to flesh all these out. And Julia, I think we were going to run a little bit of a competition tonight.
Okay, brilliant. So before we do that though, we just wanted to, that's all amazing. So before we start any Q&A, I think you've got a little bit of a giveaway from you girls. So we've got a question. So everyone here, the Posify group are giving away a self-compassion ebook, which is really brilliant. As we were talking about, you know, looking at those voices and the stories that we're telling ourselves, really can turn that all around. And this is just the book to dive into and start changing those stories for next year. So it's a brilliant giveaway. Thank you so much for contributing that. So we've got a little bit of a question for you. And so please write in response to this question. And that is, can you share with us what has been the most effective exercise, tool, or piece of advice that you've learned here today that you think can support you in connecting with your purpose and meaning in 2019? So if you just have a little think about it and respond back to us via the Q&A or via the chat, and then we're just going to reveal at the end of this webinar, which is very shortly, who's the winner is. So just in your own time, just throw up there any answers. We just really love your feedback actually, and you're going to get something in the process. So let us know what it is. And yeah, so also, if you've got a question, we'd love to hear them.
Yes.
I
and
think
in the meantime, while they're coming through, because I am conscious of time, and I have another little surprise.
Ooh.
I promise. It's Santa Claus. Santa's coming up. We've got a big reveal tonight, and I'm so excited. I just can't keep it inside anymore. Please, 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 can we share a big reveal?
I love that I actually wasn't here for the setup because I was off singing Christmas carols with my little boy. And so Marianne did this setup and she set up all these little surprises.
I set up surprises. And look, I've even got some cherry lights hanging off. Hang on a second. This is not the reveal. This is just the lead up to the reveal.
yeah,
Absolutely cute.
I thought it might be a reindeer, and that's the colour.
Pretty lights. We all love a little bit of sparkle in our lives.
I love it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
There's
Dun,
our
dun,
this.
dun.
Huzzah.
As you know, we have a big audacious goal next year to go global. So when it came to us thinking about how we could possibly do that, we were thinking about, do we do Skype coaching overseas? Do we try and fly to places? How can we get this content to as many people as possible? And what did we come up with?
We came up with an online course.
Our first one! So excited.
Which I have to say, all the things out there say that it's actually quite easy to do. And we've realised in the process we really needed to draw on that tree that we've just talked you through because there are lots of little
steps.
elements.
But you know what? We've applied our grit.
Yeah.
Our course is Meaning Matters, and we are thrilled because it's the equivalent of the content that you would have across 12 coaching sessions if you were to work with us one-to-one. And as we all know, not only is that going to be dipping into our time, but from an affordability perspective as well. And what I love about this course that we've created is that really it helps you to dive into your own self-awareness and insights so that by the time you do get to coaching, if that's where you want to go with your next level, or mentoring as well, you're already at that level above. You've got that education underneath and you can start to work at that really deep level to connect to your why.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about the course.
All right. So it's launching the 14th of January, but the good news is that we've actually created a little snippet of a preparation that you can launch straight into from tonight. So while the course doesn't officially load until the 14th, we really want to use this time and the motivation that you've clearly got because you've joined us tonight for really setting yourself up successfully for 2019. So we have a very special deal for our wonderful Thrivers that we would like to offer out there. So we're already offering an early bird price for anyone signing up before the new year of $129.
And just bearing in mind, it's over 12 sessions jam-packed into this one course you can do from the comfort of your own home. So I think that's a bargain price.
Which,
and I'm not
don't
sure
get us wrong
else
too, that one-on-one coaching is a fantastic way of going about these things, and if you can do it, then awesome. But we realise that that's not accessible. So that's sitting around, you know, the thousands of dollars mark.
Yeah.
So the price point of this course, we really wanted to make sure that we can get this stuff out to people. It's where our purpose, our rationalize. And so we're giving even a little bit more for the Thrivers tonight who are keen to have a look at this course and jump on board. There's a code that will allow you full access to the course if you sign up within the next 24 hours at just $99. So you'll be able to jump straight in and do that preparation section, and then come 14th of January, you'll already be registered and loaded straight onto the full course.
And the cool thing about the course is we've also set up an online community called the Meaning Matters community too. So you can really connect with other like-minded people and share your stories and get some tips and tricks from others as they share theirs to really drive your most meaningful year in 2019. So we're so excited that you are the first to hear our big, exciting news.
Yes. So how do you go about it? There's, I don't know if we can flick back to it at all, Julia. There's a little, what's it called? Slide. Thank you for the word. It's a relatively easy word.
That's what I'm here for.
So just the final slide will give you the link to the course, thepositifygroup.thinkific.com. We will, from tomorrow, have a link on our website. We just haven't uploaded that yet because we literally have hit launch just about an hour ago on this course. So it hasn't even been connected up to our website yet, but if you go directly to the positifygroup.thinkific.com, you'll see the course option as you scroll down through all courses. When you go to actually register, there'll be an option to put in a coupon, and you need to type in Thriveclass, so T-H-R-I-V-E, Thriveclass, all one word, and that's valid for the next 24 hours to access that $99 price point, even less than what
And because I'm feeling super zesty and I've got my jingle bells, I just can't stop there. Can I please share that offer with a few friends?
Oh, yes. Why not?
Why not?
This is a really great Christmas present idea,
Yes,
really. So it doesn't
is.
just have to be for you. If you're a little bit stuck in how to register that for somebody else, just jump on email info@thepositifygroup.com.au and we can talk through that process, and it can be something you can gift on to somebody else too.
Nice.
So the code is Thrive Course, and is that in caps or just
Thriveclass.
Thriveclass? Sorry.
To be really super honest and authentic and real here, I don't know if you need caps or not. I typed it in as caps, but I'm looking at the screen right now and it's in lowercase. So I think if you type in lowercase or caps, it should work. If you get stuck, again, just email info@thepositifygroup.com.au.
Again, you're the first to hear about this. So there won't be too many of you emailing us, so we will be getting straight onto it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for us being the first people to hear about that exciting news. And that course can be so amazing. So I can't wait to see, well, have a look at it.
We're super excited.
Thank you for having us twice this year, Julia. We just think what you're doing with Thrivers is just incredible.
Absolutely.
Speaking of helping people access so much resources and information, the fact that you can bring together this online tribe of such a huge caliber of women who are just really thriving is real. It's a real credit.
And across so many different ways too that people can jump on and watch these webinars, and that the blogs support them, and your amazing content that you pump through social media and interviews. It's a lot of work.
Thank you so much. That's amazing to hear. I'm just really conscious of time, and we have got some awesome answers for this competition.
Cool.
Really quickly read through them. So first one, creating little habits that become the norm. Yes, very important. Second, aligning actions with values, as in being myself at work. Yeah, that's so important. Bring your authenticity to work. Matching up goals when you really, with who you really want to be, not just the same ones you don't achieve every year. Yes, I love that takeaway too. That's really good. Break things down into small achievable tasks. Yep, thinking about the roots. That was really great. Thank you. I love the last hour so much, and I've written so much. That's another one. I have big goals that have been on my New Year's resolutions list for years, but breaking some of these down will definitely help them, make them more achievable, starting with my cup of tea in the morning.
I love that. Beautiful.
I was thinking of my cup of tea in the morning as well when you're talking about your coffee, so I'm definitely going to attach some habits onto that. So I think they're all so good. I think we're just going to have to go with the first one. So Tanya Penwell, you've won the ebook, so we'll be getting that across to you. Thank you, Ken.
Congratulations.
So I just wanted to say, thank you so much, girls, again for coming. That for people who don't know, the Positify Group were the first experts that I had for these Thriver classes when I started them off, and so I was so grateful that you trusted trusted me to come on board with Thrivers, and I thought it'd be great to wrap up because your energy and knowledge is just always really infectious and really informative at the same time. So I always feel like it's a winning combination of expertise. And yeah,
absolutely privileged to be able to be the first and the last.
Well, not, yeah, the last this year. So that's a wrap for the Thrivers workshops of this year. And yeah, wow, what a year. Thank you so much to everyone who supported us. Seeing our members and attendees take action to work towards their thriving life is why we do what we do. So thank you to everyone who supported us right from the beginning and new people that have found us recently. It's really great to have you on board. So for Thrivers 2019, we've made some adaptations based on feedback and to make it even more, well, really cool, and there's some extra enhancements. So I can't reveal them all, but one thing I can say is that we're introducing a brilliant aspect where we are integrating wellness with every workshop we do. So think yoga, Pilates, meditation, breath work, play. We're going to bring them across, and we're going to always start the session with some experts in all of these industries to start the sessions off. So we're going to be embracing our finances and career with the wellness thrown in, just to make them even more fun. And also the important aspect, which is the ethos of Thrivers, is that to thrive and to reach your potential, you have to prioritize your wellness. So we feel like when you're coming along to the Thrivers workshops, you're allowing that important time there and then. So that's part of what's happening next week, and next year, and I'm going to be revealing the rest in the EDMs coming out this week and on our socials, so keep posted. And someone just checking, someone said thank you so much for coming along. It was inspiring, energetic, and the cheerful presenters. Yeah, and thank you for bearing with us from the beginning. Yeah, it was so good, and I love that. Yeah, all that feedback. Thank you for posting that. So yeah, thank you again, ladies. And this is good. The video will be available to you on Saturday. And yeah, keep going for your goals and believing yourselves, and have an incredible Christmas and New Year. So bye for now.
Bye. Bye.